Oh, here we go again. Okay, look, 2014, we did this. 2015, we did this. It's seemingly happening all over again. There's this groundswell for Daniel Bryan to win the 2021 Men's Royal Rumble match. There's an overwhelming groundswell right now. I've seen it with a number of creators in the community. I've seen it with them saying that Bryan absolutely must win the Rumble. I've seen it on Twitter a lot. People saying, oh, Daniel Bryan needs to win. I've seen a lot of it. And really, it's just making me just facepalm a lot. It's almost like I'm sitting here thinking, do you people not learn? Do you people just ignore what's happened in the past and just forget that? Because we remember back in 2014, when Daniel Bryan was at the height of the Yes Movement, when the Yes Movement was at its apex, 2 weeks before the 2014 Royal Rumble, Bryan had broken free of the Wyatt family. He was sitting on top of the cage doing the Yes chant, as 15,000 people were doing it in unison, and it was an amazing Daniel Bryan Yes Movement moment. It made sense then. Bryan should win the Rumble. That's what they should do. It didn't happen. Then, 2015, Bryan makes his return from an injury. He's been away 6 months. He's coming back. Bryan can win the Rumble. Bryan can win it. He doesn't. That was twice. That was back-to-back years, and the outrage both of those times was downright cringeworthy. The outrage from the wrestling community, you'd think Vince McMahon came to your house and killed a loved one of yours. That's the type of reaction we got from the wrestling community. That was the overwhelming, downright cringeworthy, just over-the-top reaction from people because Daniel Bryan didn't win the Rumble. Remember, hashtag cancel WWE Network, where a bunch of smarks on Twitter got hashtag cancel WWE Network trending because Reigns won the Rumble instead of Daniel Bryan, even though net gain of subscriptions went up tenfold after the Rumble. Forget that. So that was 2014, 2015. Now, Daniel Bryan has been, ever since WrestleMania 35, either off TV, doing some type of stuff with the IC title, but not really, doing a storyline with Eric Rowan and Roman Reigns back at the end of 2019, and really just having time off. That's literally been Daniel Bryan's last 2 years. So that's been Bryan's last 2 years. But now, because Bryan had one interaction with Reigns on SmackDown 2 months ago, now there's this overwhelming just groundswell in the YWC, or the IWC, that Daniel Bryan must win the Rumble. That if Daniel Bryan doesn't win, it's going to be the end of the world, that Bryan's the only man who can possibly win. Which I find... Look, I kind of just said it before, but it goes to show you the wrestling community doesn't learn. Okay, we've been there, done that with this. Okay, Daniel Bryan, he's a name in the hat. That's all Daniel Bryan is. Can Daniel Bryan win the Rumble? Absolutely. If Daniel Bryan wins the Rumble, is there a built-in story there with Roman Reigns? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, Daniel Bryan is just a name in the hat. The hat includes, let's just take your pick. Keith Lee, Lashley, Big E, even though it's too early for Big E, but nonetheless, Bryan's name's in there, Seth Rollins, hell, I know a lot of you hate this, Goldberg, The Rock, Cena. There's plenty of names in the hat for who can win the Rumble. There absolutely is. But you listen to the YWC, the IWC, and the only man who you're really hearing about is Daniel Bryan. You want to know why? Because Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns had a great match at Fastlane 2015. Because Roman Reigns, look, Reigns is great, but we need to see Daniel Bryan. Because this is the last chance we could see Daniel Bryan. Okay, breathe, calm down for a second. We could see Reigns versus Bryan at any pay-per-view. Okay, there shouldn't be such a thing where, oh my god, it needs to be a WrestleMania. Okay, Reigns and Bryan can tell their story any which way. I'm not going to tell Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, whoever's fully in charge of writing this Roman Reigns character, I'm not going to tell them when Daniel Bryan should face Roman Reigns. I don't know more than the people writing that storyline about who Roman Reigns should face when. Because for the last 4.5, 5 months, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, everything to do with the Bloodline and Jey Uso has been near enough flawlessly written. So I'm not going to go out there and make a big scene saying that, oh my god, Daniel Bryan needs to win. If Daniel Bryan doesn't win, I'm cancelling my WWE Network subscription. Why? Why? Okay, or because you want to see Roman Reigns have a 4.5 star WrestleMania match instead of a 3.5 star match, or because you want the better in-ring quality match. Okay, yes, there's a story to be told with Daniel Bryan. Absolutely. But if Daniel Bryan doesn't win the Rumble, are there going to be people acting as if Vince McMahon came to your house and shot a loved one of yours? Most definitely. And some people are going to watch this video and say, oh, you're being dramatic. No one acts that way. I'm sorry, what? When Daniel Bryan doesn't win the Rumble this year, go on Twitter as soon as Bryan gets eliminated, and then for the next day after that. People are going to act as though it's the most cataclysmic, world-shifting event if, and most likely when, Daniel Bryan doesn't win the Rumble. The reaction is going to be nauseating. It's going to be cringeworthy. I'm saying it now. If Bryan wins the Rumble, I'm happy for the guy. Good to see. Bryan and Reigns will no doubt be really good. The storyline should be fantastic. No doubt. But if, and most likely when, Bryan doesn't win the Rumble, oh my god. You wait and see the reaction from the YWC, wrestling Twitter, Reddit Squared Circle, all these sites. You wait and see, because oh my god, it's going to be cringeworthy, toxic. The reaction after the 2014 and 2015 Rumbles were about as bad as it gets. This one will be just as bad. Okay, 2014, the way they had Batista won, look, the whole Rumble match in 2014 was Reigns getting 12 eliminations, then babyface Batista winning. A bit of a weird decision. Bryan wasn't even in the match, and then the crowd booed Batista. 2015 was even more nauseating. I've seen the reaction in 2015. If you weren't around in 2015 for that Rumble match, think of yourself as blessed, because that was some of the most painstaking, nauseating reaction I've ever seen. People saying that Daniel Bryan needed to win the Rumble, and that Daniel Bryan coming off, what did he injure, his shoulder, his neck? Daniel Bryan, a 5'7" guy, coming off that injury, needed to win the Rumble and face Brock Lesnar, who was coming off breaking the streak, murdering Cena at SummerSlam, winning the triple threat match. Bryan needed to face that Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. It just... that mentality killed wrestling. Okay, if Bryan, God forbid, won the 2015 Rumble, which would have made no sense anyway, if Bryan won it or Ziggler won it, Brock Lesnar should have murdered them in about 4 minutes. It would have been a decapitation in the ring. Because there's no way you would have made anyone believe that Daniel Bryan could have even got close to that Brock Lesnar. But nonetheless, anyway, 2021, the Royal Rumble, in a day or two, I don't know exactly when as of making this video, I'm dropping how to book the 2021 Men's Royal Rumble. In that video, I'm going to go over how Daniel Bryan should be handled in that match, how Daniel Bryan should be booked in that match, how to make Daniel Bryan in that match believable to a point where it's reasonable and not just over the top and having him, go on his high horse and win and then the smarks just freak. Because if you have Daniel Bryan win that Rumble match, sure, the match with Reigns could be great. But the reaction, oh my god. The reaction is going to be pathetic. It's going to be a bunch of 35-year-old men screaming for God knows how long on a podcast about how WWE and Bruce Pritchard needs to go and how Vince McMahon's the devil and Vince McMahon is Satan, and it's just like, Bryan didn't win a match, boo-hoo. I'm sure the person who won it, unless it's Goldberg, the person who won it is probably a good decision. But literally, I can't even be bothered. I'm going to wrap the video there. Like, comment, subscribe, and drill. See ya.